so that, we're gonna move on to number 3, discuss obtaining mine subsidence insurance for the township. Bobby, you've got some information on that?
Okay, we currently do not have it. Mary Ann from Huntington Insurance is getting us the information and the applications to file and see what the cost would be to the township for
Just a
the
building?
building. Yeah, this building and for the shop.
Would you be able to put that back on the agenda once you get some quotes in? Okay, moving on to item 4, discuss donation requests and donation of public funds. This has been a subject that keeps popping up in, requests and questions from the public. There are certain groups that are expressing interest in the Union Township making philanthropic donations. We've had requests in the past from the food bank of Finleyville. We've had requests from the libraries in the area and some other various requests. And I've heard different opinions and comments from public, and they have questions on why do we not donate? And so I have a personal opinion about it, and then I'm sure there's a legal opinion on that, so we can defer that to Gary. But I wanted to start off the conversation with the board. I myself donate to certain agencies and truly deserving, I'm sure, and I know in fact that most of us here do. I don't think it's our responsibility to take township taxpayer funds and donate. I don't think that's a wise or proper use of township funds. I mean, it's clearly defined in the second-class township on what we're responsible for in the township, and we have many infrastructure problems and a lot of issues here. I personally feel like that's where we need to spend the money. If I feel moved to donate to an independent organization, whether it's in the township or outside of it, I do that personally. So I would like to share that conversation, see how everybody else feels, and then hear from Gary on that.
I also agree with what you said, or saying, and I do support giving donations personally. And at this time, I think the township's gotta watch what they're doing. And I don't think this is the time to consider that as donations. I think the fire department is one thing, and actually it's a requirement, correct?
Well, we're gonna let Gary tell us that.
And I think at this point, the money we're spending, that we shouldn't even be considering that. Plus, I agree with you, it's not ours to give away.
Just to recap something that happened last night. Mr. Lattore isn't here. He held that car cruise at the church, and they raised over $2,500 for those kids. Not counting the time that some of the volunteers, one of which sits on this board, gave of his equipment, his time, and his money. A little over $2,500 went to the kids for the horses for hope. We also raised $1,000 for the church charity funds. Like 2 years ago, we bought all clear plastic book bags for the kids at the elementary school.
Now, when you say we raised it, not us, not the board.
No, not the board. It's a public thing. You get the public involved. It's surprising to see how many people gave of their time, their money, and their effort to support something that maybe they don't have a child that's autistic or has Down syndrome or is blind. But these are good human beings, good kids. And I have a personal friend of mine that has a son that's Down syndrome. He works at a bakery up in Pleasant Hills. And he's the greatest kid you ever met in your life. And people give to stuff like this. I mean, they give to United Way, they give to American Red Cross. Most of that money they give goes for administration fees. Very little goes to costs. My wife and I, we've been given to a charity for the last 30 years. 2 years ago, we got a key to the city, up to what is it, St. Jude's Children's Hospital. I don't have a child that's got cancer. It's just something that we believe in. And I think it's easy to go and ask, gimme, but what are you gonna do in return? What are you doing to get this project moving? And there was a lot of time and effort went into this cruise last night. It was beautiful. Good night. Everybody that was up there, I hopefully had a good time. I was stuck in the kitchen burning hot dogs and hamburgers.
Dave, how about you? Any thoughts on this donation?
It's taxpayers' money. I mean, I don't know if there's a way to get out to the taxpayers and see what kind of approval we get from the taxpayers of giving their money away to, local organizations, or do we put something out to the residents that, hey, the food bank needs donations. If everybody had 4 or 5 cans that they can drop off to the, to the Phillyville Food Bank, I just have a hard time, with everything that's going on right now with the expenditures that we have, I really hate to give them money away.
Well, I think that's a good idea, and that's open. Anybody who wants to bring a flyer in, we've been generously posting that on our website and Facebook page, so we'll continue to do that to any organization within our township or a resident who's working for one. Gary, do you have any thoughts before we move on to this subject? Oh, I'm sorry, Chuck.
That's okay, I was gonna I also disapprove with giving it to public funds away like that, because how do you say yes to a food bank and no to a child's charity, or yes to a child's charity and then no to the food bank? All you're gonna do is make animosity, you're gonna make somebody mad. And my opinion is, if you wanna give your money away, that's fine. We all do it, I'm sure everybody else does it. But for the fire department and stuff like that, that's a yes. But to go into personal preferences and stuff like that, you just shouldn't. That's my opinion.
So you had the right idea.
That's
What you said,
that's
yard sale or something. When it comes to yard sale, bring a can of beans or a can of soup or what have you,
Gary, what's your thoughts?
Yeah. If you look at the second class township code, there are categories of required expenditures, and then, of course, there's always discretionary. And that would depend on the sentiment of the board that's the governing body. Fire protection, you shall provide it. Police protection, you shall provide it. Emergency services, and that's set forth in the second class township code. Fire protection, I know that you give an annual allotment, plus you cover all the workers' comp. That's a big number. When it's discretionary, you're dealing with charitable requests, and that could be endless.
Exactly.
And most, if not all of them, are justified. And I think, the position you take is, you can't pick one charity over another. That's a problem. You're using taxpayer dollars, but you can use your forum or your platform to encourage the public. I mean, you have newsletters. You can encourage, you can facilitate, food bank. You can say, listen, we will open up a bay, bring your food or your perishables, or non-perishables on a Saturday, and we'll make sure the road department gets it to them. I mean, there are different ways to do it rather than just writing a check.
That's a great idea.
I also want to say one more thing. Just because it was done wrong by many other boards, doesn't mean you do it again. There's a reason, sometimes you have to cut it off. People say, well, you donated to the food bank before. Well, it wasn't right.
It was on your agenda last year.
Okay.
It's the only reason I mentioned it.
Yes. Okay, let's see here. Anybody else have any comments on that?
Quick we forget.